Hey guys, it's Thursday. It's Miss Dearie from a distance, and we're going over social studies. So 4A and 4B, let's get those notebooks open. Let's get those workbooks open. Let's get those textbooks open. I actually want to start by going over the answers to the practice the skill on page 445 in your textbook that you wrote in your notebook. Remember, we did complete sentences, but we didn't need to restate. We were dealing with population maps. So number one, which color on the map stands for the areas that are the most crowded? And it's red and also yellow. Yellow is the least crowded. So most crowded, red, least crowded, yellow, at least on this map. Number two, if an area of the map is colored green, what is the population density there? So I look at my map key and I see that green is 10 to 50 people per square mile. Number three, which area of the country is the most crowded? And that would be the east. We look at our map, we see in the east, especially along the Atlantic Ocean, that's where we see the most red, right? That's where we have Boston and Philadelphia and Baltimore and Washington, D.C. and New York City, all of these cities on the Atlantic coast where immigrants in the 1700s were coming and when our country was founded, right? And then have built from there. And then remember, our journey moves us west, and our journey as Americans moves us west as well. Then we have number four. Do more people live along the Atlantic coast or the Pacific coast? Atlantic coast, right? Remember, Pacific is in the west, Atlantic is in the east. It spells west and east. It spells paw, Pacific and Atlantic when you look at the map. So it's in the Atlantic coast. And number five, why do you think many of the coastal cities of the map or on the map are colored red? Well, what do we know about coastal cities? They're good harbors. What do we know about harbors? Good for trading. What do we know about trading? That's where people want to live. Why? Jobs, right? So that's the reason why coastal cities usually have maybe sometimes a lot of people living in a small area, but depending on where that city is located. Now let's flip to our workbook, 117 and 118. I'm going to my little tiny workbook pages. Now 117, we didn't have any answers, but 118, we had some answers that we had to answer. So it says Alaska is the largest state in geographic terms in the United States. Why is it one of the smallest states on the map on page 117? Because Alaska has one of the smallest populations. Number two, why does the map on page 117 show California as the largest state? Because it has the largest population. Number three, what are the 5 states with the largest populations in the United States? So basically, what are they asking you? What are the biggest states on the map that we have on page 117? And it doesn't matter the order. We can just kind of check them off as we go, but we should have California, Texas, New York, Florida, and Illinois. Pennsylvania is pretty close, so I'm going to guess that some of you may have put Pennsylvania. We see Ohio's pretty big, Michigan's pretty big, but the top 5 are really those: California, Texas, New York, Florida, and Illinois. So if you didn't have those 5, make sure you write those down. Number 4, which state has a larger population when we're comparing Pennsylvania to Oregon? Well, it's Pennsylvania, right? Oregon's very, very small. If you can't find Oregon, look above California. You see OR, that's Oregon. Number 5, of the 3 states, Arkansas, Georgia, and Mississippi, which 2 are the closest in population? So what are they asking us? They're asking us which 2 are about the same size. Arkansas and Mississippi on our map are about the same size. Number 6, find North Dakota and South Dakota. Okay, I've found them. If you're having trouble finding them, look at Texas and then go up. We have Kansas, We have Nebraska, South Dakota, and then North Dakota looks like a little ant. Y'all see that? What general statement can we make about the two states based on their sizes on each map on page 117, but then also on the map on page 428? So what we can say is this. North Dakota and South Dakota are pretty large states when you look at their actual geography. And when you look on the map on page 428, you see that they're pretty sizable. But then look at the map on your workbook page. What do we see? They're small. So what does that tell us? That they're bigger states, nice size states, with smaller populations. Number 7, the population of New Mexico is almost 2 million. About how many people live in Oregon? So in Oregon, we have about 4 million, so about double. And how did you use the map on page 117 to answer this question? Well, Oregon looks to be about twice the size of New Mexico. So we can use our deduction skills to deduce that if New Mexico has 2 million people and Oregon is about twice the size, then how many people does Oregon have? Probably about 4 million. And then number 8, how does the map on page 117 compare with the map on page 445 in your textbook? You guys are going to probably have some various answers. I'm going to tell you what I have, and you can just make sure that your answer is along the same lines as mine. Both maps show information about population in the United States. The map on page 117 shows each state's population, while the map on page 445 shows population density throughout the United States. The map on page 445 uses different colors to show different population densities, while the map on page 117 sizes the states according to each's population. So again, I don't expect you to have that written, but as long as we have pretty much the same basic idea with our information, we're good with that one. So let's move forward. I want you guys to open to, let's see, go down a little bit in my notes. Okay, let's move to page 446. To flip back in my book. 446. So we have 4 definition words, 4 vocabulary words this time. That's not too bad. We have patriotism, monument, democracy, and majority rule for our definition words, our vocabulary words. And that is something that you guys are going to have to do when you sign off of this lesson. You need to do those definitions. Remember, we use the glossary, we write our headings, and we make it nice and neat and pretty so that we can be really proud of our work, right? We always want to be proud of what we're doing. So make sure that you can open that notebook and show somebody proudly, look at what I did. This is my best work. I want to go through these pages with you, kind of give you a little preview. Let's look at page 446. Fast fact. Little League Baseball started in Pennsylvania in 1939 with 3 teams. Today, about 3 million children in countries all around the world play baseball. And then we see these guys are standing for the national anthem. They have their hand on their heart, their hats on their heart, and they're ready to sing their song. Then we have on page 447, the yellow box about Veterans Day. We know all about Veterans Day. We celebrate Veterans Day every year at Lake Castle. We know how important it is to honor our veterans and celebrate our veterans, our heroes who selflessly give their time, their energy, their efforts to keep us protected. So we honor our veterans for that sacrifice, along with all of our citizens who choose to take on jobs that give all of us peace of mind and safety and care. So I think about policemen, I think about firemen, I think about our professionals who work in hospitals and healthcare. They're always there to help, and they're always there for us, including our military men and women, our veterans. So on page 447, we have a kind of interesting chart. It tells us the holiday and when it's observed. New Year's Day is always January 1st. Doesn't matter if January 1st is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The date, January 1st, is the same. Martin Luther King Day, we celebrate on the third Monday in January every year. President's Day, the third Monday in February. Memorial Day, the last Monday in May. Independence Day, July 4th, right? Labor Day, the first Monday in September. Columbus Day, the second Monday in October. Veterans Day is always November 11th. Thanksgiving, the fourth Thursday in November, and Christmas, December 25th. So when I look at page 448, I see a citizen voting. Voting today is a little bit different than what we see in this picture, but it's still very similar, just slightly different. And then we see a democratic values, the rights of citizenship box on page 449 that I want you guys to read through. On page 450, we see people volunteering. They're picking up trash on the highway. We see some volunteers helping with the Special Olympics, and we see a very excited Special Olympics participant. And then we see a ceremony on page 451 where they were honoring those who lost their lives on September 11th of 2001. So what I want you guys to do for me is read through this lesson, pages 446 through 451 today, do those definitions, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll talk about this information. Today we're also going to review our Southeast and Gulf states. Remember, we've said Louisiana is a Southeast state. Louisiana is a Gulf state. Louisiana is not in this section because that's just not how our book grouped us. They grouped us with Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas. But we really sort of, especially here in Southeast Louisiana, we really sort of group ourselves more closely with the states that we're about to talk about right now. So looking at the information I gave you, I have Columbia, South Carolina, SC, Atlanta, Georgia, GA, Tallahassee, Florida, FL, Montgomery, Alabama, AL, and then Jackson, Mississippi, MS. So once again, you're going to read pages 446 through 451. You're going to do definitions 1 through 4 on page 447 and just review those Southeast and Gulf states. So I will see you tomorrow for A and for B. We will make sure that we understand everything. If you have questions, let me know. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye for A and for B.